I have 4 words for you today that will forever reframe your thinking about leadership development in this new age of digital distraction. Are you ready?
I'm distracted.
Would you like to have a little fun? Our first word is the one word that describes a rock star leader. Let me set you into a moment. Imagine, if you will, being crammed into a teeny dark space with a few hundred people. It's a bit warm, and you're sitting among strangers. What does it smell like? What does it sound like? How are you feeling crammed in with all of these strangers? Is there stress? Is there tension? Now let's take it up a couple notches. Right here, you notice you're feeling a bit hungry. But more importantly, you've noticed you've really got to go to the bathroom. And the only thing you want to do is get off this plane. That was me recently. Behind me on the left was an irate, out of control passenger whose voice cut through the cabin, layering tension upon tension. And my heart is going out to the woman right next to him, who's almost in tears. She's exhausted. She's at her wit's end. And everything she has tried to do to reason with this passenger has failed miserably. And while the stress in the cabin was so great, I think she was at a breaking point. Bing! That seatbelt sign comes off, the lights come on, everyone stands up to get their luggage, and the aisles are blocked. No one can get to this passenger. No flight attendant, nobody. Just then, right here, it popped in. Well, Jim, you're the leadership guru. What are you going to do about this? You ever have one of those moments where you think, if you don't handle this situation, it is not going to get handled? Right then, the second thought popped in my head. You've got this. You've done this before. Piece of cake. I turned, I looked at the passenger, words came out of my mouth, the right tone, the right voice inflections, the right facial expressions, and silence. A small smile, a little bit of a grin, a little bit of laughter, brief conversation, and his mood changed in an instant. And the faces softened on that plane, and the stress went down and there was peace. The passengers in front were gobsmacked. They were like, what did that? The woman sitting next to him looked at me. She said, there is nothing more difficult or challenging dealing with an unconsolable, irrational 2-year-old on an airplane. Sometimes dealing with adults is not unlike dealing with 2-year-olds. But when you learn how to read the room, have some emotional intelligence, understand how neuropeptides work, a little bit of brain chemistry, you become a person of great influence. Yay!
Let's do it now.
So, if influence is the superpower of a great leader, what's the one word that is the kryptonite? Let me put you in a new scene, a new environment. Much bigger environment, a lot of people still, but it's a work environment. And while there's stress and there's tension, this time you are the leader. And while there's not a toddler in sight, sometimes it feels like you're dealing with children. He should know better. She should just, they should. Should I? I should not have to. And that magic word, should, is the kryptonite to all leadership. Should is the language of unrealistic expectations, and unrealistic expectations is where all conflict arises from. Should or unrealistic expectations is kryptonite. Let me show you how this plays out across generations. Gen Xers, they grew up with 15 kids on the block, no supervision, no phones, come home when the street lights come on. They learn to figure things out. The nuances of social interaction, conflict resolution, even finishing the kickball game. Gen Z, they might have had what we call in the States helicopter parents. Scheduled play dates, babysat by a screen, no street time, lots of screen time. Maybe their social interactions were through texting. And they might have gotten a participation trophy for almost everything they did. You know, you've got two generations, and each generation believes that the other generation should get them. And the leaders believe that the team members should, and the team members believe that the leaders should. And the expectations are misaligned. And so there's conflict. And now it's a stressful work environment. So now it's Friday night, everyone's maxed out. How do we distract ourselves from this stress and this angst that we feel? How do we cope? A little alcohol, a little cannabis, endless scrolling on social media till 3 in the morning, gaming, pornography, binge watching Netflix till 3 a.m., or my favorite, Doc, man, I'm really stressed out at work. Oh, yeah, try this. In any environment in the workplace, we have dopamine addicts, we have alcoholics, we have screen addicts. We have people escaping. And I'm not just talking about the employees. You don't have to look far to find every respected university or institution who's done countless scientific studies on the effects of screen addiction, dopamine addiction, alcoholism, and escapism in our work environment. It's reshaping our workforce. We have dysfunctional leaders and fractured cultures. And our chemical dependencies are only exacerbating these issues. Now, I want you to think about one thing. Simple question. Does any of those things, the alcohol, the cannabis, the screen addiction, help anyone have more realistic expectations about anything? So, if should or unrealistic expectations is the kryptonite, what is the one word that is the antidote for this kryptonite? That word is become. When a leader stops asking, why don't they get it, and starts asking, what's it like to be on the other side of me? That's when real cultural transformation starts. This is my superpower. This is my kryptonite. This is my strength. This is my weakness. A great look in the mirror is a great place to start. I want to set a new scene for you. Picture a high school gymnasium. And in that gymnasium sits a mother amongst all these other parents. And she's holding up a letter. And on that letter, it reads that her son will be receiving an award. Now, she's very excited about this because she remembered when her son got his Eagle Scout and the feelings that she had. Oh, she was so proud of him. But this time, she was excited about these new awards. She doesn't get to sit in a lot of environments like this. But they didn't call her son's name once. They called it multiple times. He was getting an award for academics, for the honor roll, for his talent as a musician in the band and in the choir. And he was a beautiful artist. He could do pottery on the wheel. It was just amazing. Oh, she was so proud of him. And she went home that night just ecstatic. And she slept very, very well. Now, her son, with all of this potential, in 6 short years, was now a full-blown alcoholic and drug addict. He could not manage a job, keep a job, manage a relationship, keep a relationship. His life was a mess. And her great pride had moved to great sadness. She was dead asleep at night. And all of a sudden she's woken, startled, in the wee hours of the morning because the phone started to ring. And the anxiety built up because she knew that nothing good could come from that phone call. And as that phone rang again, she didn't want to pick it up, but she knew she had to. And it was her son. And he was drunk. But he said the one thing that she had longed to hear. The one thing she'd been praying for. Mom, I think I might have a problem. Mom, I think I might be an alcoholic. And because of the woman she became, that was who he turned to in his time of need. And so from that, she got him to stay sober for a little time, and then he fell. And then he got him to stay a little bit longer, and then he fell. And he stayed sober for even a little bit longer, and then he fell. And eventually, as time went on, and time went on, and time went on, and time went on, and time went on, he got sober, and is sober to this day for 3.5 decades. 35 years without a drop. He's been married for 32 years. Successful marriage. 2 amazing, influential daughters who you can go Google. He's even been inside of the Oval Office, spoken to 2 presidents. But more than all of that, he has become a person who helps other people become. Now, why did I tell you that story about this woman? Because that woman was my mother. And I'm so grateful she became the woman she did, because when I hit rock bottom, I needed that person. My aha moment in becoming is you can't give away what you don't have. And a leader who is healthy in mind, body, and spirit becomes a person of great influence, of joy, of peace. And it's infectious. It's contagious. I think it rubs off on people. So if become is the antidote for should, what is the one word that is the catalyst for become? Story. Everyone wants to live a better story, and everyone wants to be the hero of their story. A leader's journey is just part of their story. Stories are so powerful. When I started dipping my toe into the recovery circles, Mom handed me this book. And in the book, the back of the book, 2/3 of it was filled with just stories. Story after story after story. And as I read these stories, something chemically happened in my brain. I got a little dopamine. I got a little oxytocin. I got a little serotonin. I got a little bit of endorphins. I got a lot of endorphins. And some of those stories were hilarious to me. A sprinkle of cortisol, a sprinkle of adrenaline. And it's what David J.P. Phillips calls an angel's cocktail. And it started changing my brain. And I would read a story, and I would read another story, and I would read another story. And as I read those stories, I started asking other people who were sober, tell me your story. And then I found that there were several people who were successful in all walks of life, whether it was business or relationships or science or academics, and I would say, tell me your story. And I found that a story is the catalyst for all change. You cannot become without a story. Our lives are changed through story. And great leaders are master storytellers. Now, I didn't finish the story on the airplane. You're probably wondering, what did I say to that 2-year-old to get him to calm down like that? It was real simple. I just looked at him and I said, hey, what color is Barney? Is he purple or is he green? And it short-circuited his brain. And his emotional spiral stopped. And it's a technique called a pattern interrupt. It engages the reticular activator and a little bit of brain chemistry, and his emotional spiral stopped. I think that's exactly what we need in leadership development today. Let influence, should, become your story. Now I want you to think about those words in a different order. Through a story, you become, which should give you the influence of a rock star leader. It's been my pleasure